Now, in our second installment of our investigative feature into the illicit donkey trade in Kenya, we speak to those leading the fight to save the donkeys of Kenya who are now challenging the government to enforce the ban that is already in place for the safety of Kenyans and the survival of the hardy animal. Here is Brenda Wanga with part 2 of our series, Donkey's Beef.
The year 2016 was a turning point for the country's donkey population. The Kenyan and Tanzanian governments legalized the slaughter of donkeys. Consequently, donkey abattoirs were opened up in the two countries, 4 here in Kenya, with the agreement that the donkeys would be slaughtered with the meat and hide exported to China, where the hide was in high demand. However, things began unraveling fast.
We started facing other challenges, and one single-most challenge that came around that time was an issue of donkey hide trade. Slaughtering of donkeys, specifically for the skin. That brought a whole new dynamic because slaughterhouses were opened and licensed in Kenya, 2016. And by 2019, actually, we had 4 slaughterhouses operating.
We have less than 1 million donkeys in Kenya. In 2015, we had about 2 million donkeys in Kenya. But with the resurgence and the entry of the donkey bush slaughter, that numbers within just 2 years dwindled from around 2 million to just around 1.1 million.
The unbridled harvesting of donkeys with the low replenishing of the same served to decimate the donkey population, and it soon became apparent that this state of affairs was not tenable. Traditionally, donkeys have been used in rural Kenya for labor-intensive activities like ferrying goods, as well as helping rural womenfolk in water-scarce areas to transport the commodity. The high demand for donkeys led to increased incidents of theft of the animals from homestead and a rise in the cost of the same in the markets. This realization had some state and non-state actors agitating for the ban on this trade, and in 2020, the government revoked the licenses of the donkey abattoirs, driving this business underground. This time round, the investors' interest reverted to just the hide, leaving the meat to permeate local markets.
We started really mobilizing ourselves and our communities and the government and saying, hey, we need to look at this. And we did a research together with Caro, and actually the facts were out there for everybody. And it was, a report that was accepted by the government that we need to do something against this trade. And so thank God that in 2020, out of that push and engagement, the minister then banned the slaughterhouses.
In Kenya, the Meat Control Amendment Act 2012 has documented donkey alongside horse as a food animal, meaning it is legal to consume donkey meat. However, the ban on donkey abattoirs in Kenya means that any donkey meat finding itself on dinner tables is not only uninspected but also unhygienic and therefore a threat to the health of the consumers.
The greatest risk exposure because, one, we are exposing these people to the risk of zoonotic diseases, because should you have 1 case of anthrax, I can tell you that will collapse the health systems here in Nairobi, because the number of people that will have interacted with that meat all the way from, let's say, Kedong to here in Bama is a lot.
While animal rights activists carry on with their fight against the illicit slaughter of donkeys, they say the biggest hindrance to this remains corrupt law enforcement officers who often collaborate with traders and either look the other way or offer protection. Our 2-month-long investigation into the illegal trade brought us face to face with this as some officers tried to stop us from accessing an abattoir handling donkey hide. They now want the Ministry of Interior to rein in these rogue officers whose actions are a danger to not just the donkey population but also the people who unwittingly consume donkey meat.
The police, we can say, are compromised, because how can donkeys move all the way from Tanzania, Magadi, all the way to Kedong? without even being seen. This is something that we see that the police are compromised, and in fact, those police officers that are within these areas should be able to tell us what is actually happening.
Aside from dealing with the corrupt officers, the activists also want the judiciary to impose hefty fines for those caught engaging in the trade.
The challenges within the court is that the fines are very minimal, such that the people who are involved in this as traders are just fined some very little monies, and after this they just go back to this illegal business and the illegal slaughters.
In our expose of the Machakos abattoir, the police and the area OCS indicated that the business was duly licensed and had been reinstated after public participation. We sought to find out from the Machakos County officials the veracity of these claims.
The slaughterhouses are not operational. The county government is actually, when you ask these questions, was also able to communicate with Dr. Waweru, and I have just confirmed there has not been an activity. So whatever is happening, we'll treat it as rumors, because what we hear on the ground, and which has not come to the attention on my desk, is that the purported Chinese, it's like they want to turn the slaughterhouse into a hides and skin production or storing center. So there is no operation, and at the point that we come across that, we'll be able to brief and we'll be able to do the necessary. There is no permit for the operation of that slaughter.
These non-state actors say they will not relent in the fight to save the beasts of burden from possible decimation. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.